I'm the smart little pig. I build my house of bricks.
As we experience repetition through all of our senses, pattern is a constant and necessary occurrence in our lives. The design principle of pattern is the repetition of art elements in artwork. As art is a reflection or reinterpretation of life, artists use the influence of natural and manufactured patterns. Which patterns most attract your eye or resonate with your human experience? An ordered pattern is known as regular because the repetition of shapes and forms is organized into a predictable order. In contrast, a random pattern has no predictable order. Though common, regular patterns are not limited to rows. Symmetrical balance, for example, requires a regular pattern, because each side of a shape or form must match to have symmetry. We can also predict order when repetition is organized according to size, as is the case with these stacked stones. Spirals and twists are predictable. Regular patterns may be assigned or learned through our symbols and codes. Random patterns, however, may occur naturally, accidentally, or simply void of any need for an ordered structure. The fun of blowing bubbles is the lack of predictability, as a child delights in the randomness of size and movement through space. The repetition we experience in life is usually a combination of both regular and random patterns. This crazy quilt is organized into a regular pattern of squares and rows, but the inside of each square holds a random pattern of shapes and colors. Here's a recap for you. The design principle of pattern repeats art elements in artwork. Notice the varied patterns of dragonfly shapes in space. Because regular patterns are predictable, you can easily complete the artist's design. Here the dragonflies are organized in staggered rows of alternating size. We can easily see where the shape must be placed to complete the order. Again, the dragonflies are repeated in staggered rows, but are the same size and alternate in direction. How do we complete the sequence? Artists choose regular pattern for easily established balance and a strong sense of unity. In contrast, random patterns engage the viewer through variety. With no set order of sequence or symmetry, random patterns are more challenging to balance. Here we see a more dynamic design, as the dragonflies, free from rows or alternating sequences, vary in both size and direction. With no predictable order, it would be impossible to guess the exact size, direction, and location of 3 more dragonflies. Though the possibilities seem unlimited, the artist must consider balance while composing the random pattern, or one side will overpower the other. Let's choose better places. Let's examine the use of regular and random pattern in some well-known works of art. Artists may repeat forms and shapes in space to simulate life in a realistic style. Gustav Klimt, however, used pattern for abstraction. Though the subject's clear in this artwork, the abundant use of varied symbolic pattern gives the viewer more to read and consider. Some artists apply tiny patterns in specialized technique to create larger images when seen from a farther distance. Post-impressionist George Seurat used a technique known as pointillism, in which the entire painting was patterned with tiny dabs of paint rather than brushstrokes. How is pattern used in this mixed media art piece? The sculpted faces at the top, organized into a horizontal row, are identical in color and form, creating a regular pattern. The painted target alternates between 2 colors and is arranged in concentric circles. Both patterns are regular. The shapes of cakes are arranged in rows, creating regular pattern for this painting. But which elements are used randomly? Both color and value are patterned in this painting, but in no order. The color pink, for example, is dispersed with no predictability, creating a random pattern. How is form repeated in this sculpture? The smooth, rounded, angular forms are dispersed with no order, creating a random pattern. Notice the placement of red and blue among the randomly placed shapes in this painting. Both the blue and the red are placed with symmetrical balance, creating a regular pattern of color. How is the number 5 patterned in this painting? Similar to concentric circles, the 5 is patterned in a sequence according to size, creating predictability and therefore a regular pattern. Which part of this painting provides both regular and random patterns? Each building has an ordered repetition of elements forming regular patterns for realistic detail. Yet the painting's distanced viewpoint shows a random overlapping of the buildings themselves. It's worth repeating. If you love your art, it will love you back.